Welcome back to Yappin Dollahs, the mini series I launched under the Marketing Woman podcast to break down how money moves behind the scenes. And today we're getting into something that's rarely talked about this way: how data is actually used as your financial asset, especially if you're building a startup without a massive budget. I sat down with Nomiki Petrolla, founder of PDS Lab and Thiana.io, to talk about how early stage founders can use data not just to track what's happening, but to unlock growth, funding, and credibility. This conversation was tactical and packed with tips founders wish they had earlier. So if you're in the early stages of building, this one's for you. Also, if you missed the previous episode I did with Nomiki on the Marketing Woman podcast called From Idea to MVP, the startup playbook for non-tech founders, I highly recommend you check it out for even more on building smart from day one. Now let's get into this one. Hi, Nomiki. Welcome back.
Hi, Anusha. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited about this one because I have absolutely no idea about financial stuff, and I'm someone that's also learning. I want to understand how data can be used as a financial asset and how to explore strategies to leverage that and to talk to VCs, and especially for people that are at their early startup stages. So why should founders view data as an asset, even if let's say they don't have massive funding?
Sure. So data will help you make decisions and get to revenue faster. Ultimately, VCs care about your traction. So traction means few different things depending on where you're at in the stage of your business. But primarily, I work with people at the idea stage that are just launching their tech, or they have their MVPs, they're getting in their first customers. So traction for them could be: how long is your wait list? How many people are on the list waiting for the product that you've been talking about, the solution that you've been talking about, just for the problem specifically? Hundreds, thousands. We want to know those numbers. The other numbers are letters of intent. If you're B2B, how many businesses have said, I will work with you as soon as you launch that business. Here's my letter of intent. Let's get 3 to 5 of them. Big name brands. We want them on there because those B2B check sizes are going to be much bigger. We want to see that there's traction there. They also care about data in regards to month-over-month growth. So say you did launch and you're like, oh, we're not paying yet, but we're not paying customers yet. However, we have 20% month-over-month growth. This is where we anticipate. This is when we're launching our paid revenue model. I really believe in commercialization on day one. I don't really have time to build a product that doesn't make money. I've got kids to feed. I got a family, house, mortgage, all the things. So I want to validate the thing that I'm building on day one and not wait for that to happen. And the best way to validate it is, will someone pay for my stuff? So those numbers are data that you can leverage. Month 1, how much did you make? Month 2, how much did you make? What's your projection to profitability? They want to see all these numbers. So all that data is going to be used to help you receive funding if that's something that you choose to do.
Awesome. You talked about projection to profitability. Could you expand on that? Because if someone doesn't know what that is.
Yeah. So ultimately, it depends how much money you're spending on your product, and then how much are you spending every month, and then how much are you bringing in revenue. And over time, you want the revenue to be higher than how much you're spending. And then you'll get to that point of, okay, I've broken even. Here I'm at. Next month, I'm going to hit profit. And that money can then be used to go back into the business or pay yourself, whatever it actually is, depending on your business. And you want to see how long it's going to take to get there. The shorter timeline to get there, the better. Ultimately, they want to see low spend, you're cash conscious. Not every product can do that, of course. There's variables, but low spend, you're cash conscious, you can know how to make decisions, you know how to earn money, and they want to see that because guess what? All they care about is their return. So if you get profitable, they're going to say, okay, the faster you're doing that, here's some cash. Let's make that faster for you so that you can exit in 7, 8 years and we all make money.
Right. What kind of data would you say we can use as a startup to show VCs? We want funding. This is what it is. You're talking about month over month. But how can you actually show that?
So in terms of capturing data using data analytics platforms, or what do you mean?
Okay. Yeah, like that. What kind of platforms do they use? What kind of data is actually something they should be showing? Do we show that, let's say they've not done anything. They've not actually sold anything. They don't have customers. How do you actually get funding if you have no money at all?
Yeah, I mean, the chances of you getting funding are slim if you don't have anything to share. They want to see that you know how to hustle, frankly. They want to see that you can grind, get numbers to prove that you can do something. Your advisors that are supporting you, do you have big names behind you that are like, we believe in this person? Those are all data points that they want to see. The whole pitch deck, if you're at the idea stage, like the whole pitch deck is basically proof that someone believes in me. I'm the person that should be building this. Like, this is my background. These are the companies I've worked for. This is the numbers I brought in for the companies I've worked for. These are my skill sets. This is why I'm the perfect person to solve this problem. All of that's data. They want to see all of that information in a pitch deck in like 30 seconds. So they can say, yes, they're worth my time. Let's schedule a call, or nope, put them in the no pile, right? So in terms of data analytics, like true platforms, you're not really talking about that yet. If they decide that you're a good fit, there'll be a process of due diligence. And then you have to actually prove that the numbers you put on your pitch deck are legitimate, right? So say you're making X amount of dollars and you're showing them, oh, we have 20% month over month growth. And you're showing that in terms of dollar amount. When they get to due diligence, you have to prove that. So your numbers better not be false.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely not going to secure funding at that point.
Right. That makes sense. So if the startup founders cannot show potential investors how much they are viable, they cannot show them big revenue numbers, the possibility of getting funding is slim chance?
Well, it's slim in general. Like, women only receive 2.4% of venture capital funds in general. And only 0.5% of businesses are venture backed. 99.5% of businesses are not venture backed. So I think there's a facade of like what a venture-backed business is. A lot of people come into thinking, oh, I read a TechCrunch article, I should go get funding. Probably not. Your business probably is not a venture-backed business. It's probably a lifestyle business. And people say lifestyle as if it's a bad thing. Lifestyle businesses can make tens of millions of dollars every year, create generational wealth for your families. And that's a good thing because you're bootstrapping. You're maybe using a business loan from the bank. Maybe you got non-dilutive funding. And that's success, right? If you're earning and you don't have to give away 50, 60, 70% of your equity because you're getting a series A, B, and C rounds, by the time you exit, you're probably exiting at that point. If you exit for $1 billion, you're going to have just as much as if you built bootstrapped. So it really comes down to like, should you be getting funding? Most of the answer is no. It's probably not. But a lot of people think that they should be because of what they see. They think that's the path. They don't actually know their options. They don't have access to the other options. So much education has to go into that. I'm trying to tackle that a little bit, but it's a big problem that the industry is facing. And they're completely saturated with pitch decks, all these investors. And it's like, they're not appropriate for this.
Right. So because it's like that, how can you kind of prove yourself? Can you walk me through a situation or just as an example where a startup has used data to effectively position themselves to get some funding?
Yeah. I could use myself as an example. I did not take any funding for Thayana. I'm bootstrapping, but I've been offered multiple checks. And I said, no, like I have to prove it. But the reason why they offered me money was simply because I built the lab from scratch to a 6-figure business in 6 months. Okay. I've helped 80 women and they're set like really quickly. And they saw that. They see me all over the internet. I'm obnoxiously visible. I don't shut up. Like I'm shouting myself to the rooftops constantly. They see me, they're watching me. Then they see, oh, this person already has 400 some women on a wait list in like 2 weeks for her platform. What is she doing? How is she doing that? I want to be a part of it. So that type of data, I'm not even revenue positive yet, but my other business, they saw me build it from scratch really quickly and earn revenue in a service-based business. And they're like, oh, she knows how to build something from scratch. That data can be used to say, we believe in her. We believe what she's standing for. And people that want to jump on that mission are saying, hey, I'll write you a check for $6,000. I meant 6 figures. And ultimately, I haven't accepted anything because I need to prove that I can make my second business profitable before I take anything if I want to do that. But that's the type of thing that they're really looking for. And I'm proof is in the pudding.
Awesome. Then what kind of metrics would you say that founders have to focus on to kind of make a compelling case to investors?
It's really about revenue, customers, their longevity, engagement, their retention. How are you solving their problems and how long are they staying with you? And are they paying you?
Okay. So let's say that startups with limited resources, they don't really have a lot of resources. How can they use data to kind of guide their decision making?
Ultimately, when you're talking about using data to figure out if what you can do makes any sense for your customer base, it's testing. So do micro tests, like mini tests that you can push out to see like, hey, is this something that they would pay for? Try to do it manually. I mean, not everything has to be solved technically first. The lab is a great example of this. Like, it's all manual work. I'm doing everything service-based. And that proved, oh, I can build the software for this. So ultimately, that's my hypothesis. It'll still live forever, but that's the hypothesis that proved I can do this in tech, right? So you can do that yourself. You can do that with a newsletter. Get people to pay for specific resources, maybe advertising, whatever it is that your business model is. But if you can get proof that what you're building, people want to pay for or want to be a part of, that the investors are going to be interested in seeing, how did you do that? Why did you do that? Why are they interested? What are you solving? And how big is this?
Right. Sometimes like founders get all these feedback from people, which they of course have as data, but what do they do with that data? How can they convert that into actionable steps for their product development?
Yeah, a lot of data is junk. It's a matter of getting the right data. But you have to be good at it, right? Asking the right questions, making sure that you're focused and you're not going on a bunch of tangents. So when you're trying to have a conversation, I always tell people, when you have a conversation, there's 3 things that you want to come out of it with, right? List out those 3 things that no matter how that conversation goes, you need answers to 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 is different for everyone, but it's based around the problem that you're solving. If you leave that conversation and you don't have those answers, then you need to go back to the drawing board with that person and get them. Because once you see those 3 answers, and from every single person, a pattern arises really quickly. When that pattern is shown, it's going to get you insights into, okay, what are the ways that I can solve this now? So we do a lot of brain mapping exercise, lots of brainstorming on those problems. It's really a creative process. I give you permission to go down this rabbit hole of creativity, essentially. It's the fun part, because then you're like, oh, how can I solve that problem now? And what are the different ways? What can I do? Can I build this myself? Do I need a dev team? Like, how can I do this to prove that this is needed? And then you kind of go down that process of, okay, let's build this MVP to solve that need, test it into with your customers and see if it works or not.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I do have a question though. You talked about the 3 things. Can you say them in like points just for people to like recap?
So the 3 things, so basically every time you're having a conversation, before you go into the conversation, you need to have a structure of what you need to get out of them, right? Okay. You're not just booking calls to have, shoot the shit. Like there's a structure here. It's not scripted. It's still conversational. But no matter what the conversation is, you have to have an outcome from that call that leads to the masses of everyone giving you not similar answers. The problems are the same. You're trying to get the outcome for many so that you can see if, say for answer 1, it's stagnant, like people are all having the same responses over time, to see if something arises. So say, for example, I'll just use an example of someone that I talked to this morning. They're building they're trying to build an AI tool for summer camps. And I said, okay, who's your persona? We're talking about that. And my job is to tell them, like, well, what are the 3 things you need to get from them to glean insights to build a product? So making this up, but say, for example, she said, I need to know when and how much they spend every month, every summer on summer camps, and how painful that experience is. Like, what do they wait till last minute? Do they spend thousands or hundreds? When do they do it? And I need to understand that across the board, because if I know that everyone in May is spiking to say, oh shit, I forgot about this. This is stressful. How do I prep them the month before? Right? So we need to see that data across the board. And I just made that example up because I'm a mom. I have 4 kids, and summer camp's a bitch. But those are some insights that you can start to glean from all the conversations. But every conversation you have, you need a result. You're not just going in to have, chatty Cathy over here. It's really about gather the data I need to make a decision.
Okay, that sounds good. I have a question from the session that we had at Harvard. I think everyone asked this question too. How can we actually get customer feedback, customer data? How can we actually collect that in real time?
Yeah. So are you talking about when you have a product or pre-product?
Pre-product.
You need to go out and find those people. People are so afraid to have conversations. I think it's ripping the Band-Aid off of saying, okay, if I start having these conversations, that means I'm really in this thing. And doing that first step is actually the hardest for a lot of people, to say, okay, I'm willing to put myself out there. I'm willing to be known for solving this problem and having those conversations. it kind of shifts you personally into this new professional development stage, right? So a lot of people struggle to do that. But the only way you're going to do anything is by putting yourself out there for everyone to know what you're doing, to be known for what you're doing, to have those conversations, to open up them, and grinding. Like I tell people all the time, I'm not above the cringe. I'll slide into your DMs all day. Like, I don't care if I look cringy. I'm doing it because guess what? It's giving me 100 extra people on my wait list. And now they see what I'm doing and now they're following me and they're telling their friends about me. So you have to be willing to do those things, to be cringy, to have the conversations, to put yourself out there.
Awesome. So basically, if you don't have data, go talk to people. Once you get the data, show how it works, test it, iterate. And then once it works, take that data, show it to a venture capitalist and tell them that this is how it's working. This is what we have. These are the results. And then get them to invest in you. That's the whole process.
If you want to go that route. But yeah, I love the bootstrap mentality. To be honest, I focused on building sustainable businesses without venture, but a lot of people do take that route. Yes.
Okay, perfect. If you had one piece of advice, again, for data or to like secure it safely and effectively, what would it be?
Know what data you need. Don't just collect every piece of data. Know what you need in order to help you move your business forward. Not all data is good data. So choose the things that are going to support you in your business.
Awesome. Last question. Do you have any free or low-cost tools that you would suggest for this process?
To gather data, I use Google Forms. It's free. You can use Typeform, love it, but it's paid. But they have nice A/B testing. Conversations, you use an AI note taker when you're on virtual meets, majority of the conversations you'll have. But I say to do that because it'll gather them. You can focus on listening and less on taking notes. Always double check your AI notes. Not all of them are accurate. Just make sure it's true what you've discussed. Synthesize that information over time with many of them. And yeah, be more productive, doing less manual work so that you can churn out more data.
Do you want to talk a little bit about PDS Lab?
Yeah, so PDS Lab is a tech accelerator for women at the idea stage, and we focus on helping non-technical women build product from scratch. We teach you how to synthesize that data that we've been talking about, how to use it to inform your product decisions, how to build the product. In our 6-month time frame, we're literally launching your tech. We've launched an e-commerce, cybersecurity, healthcare, so many different various sectors, and it's a joy. So I would love to work with you if you are interested in building your tech from scratch.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anusha. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.